Hey co-stars, welcome to Generation Films. My name is British Ben, and I took time out from drinking tea and singing God Save the Queen to bring you this video.
Tea is a herb that's been dried out. So to bring it back to life, you have to infuse it in boiling water. That is boiling water.
Now, a few days ago, we brought you a video called 10 Flaws of the Klingon Imperial Fleet. But don't worry, that Klingon cosplay uniform in your closet won't go to waste, because the Klingon Imperial Fleet wasn't really that flawed. So you're still going to be able to impress girls with your batlith techniques and your pet Targ.
If you ever come close to me again, I will kill you. You need to stay away from me.
This is 10 advantages of the Klingon Imperial Fleet. Number 1. Devotion to battle. The Klingons were a deeply spiritual people. Kinda. They supposedly killed their original gods because they were more trouble than they were worth, and were devoted to the legendary warrior Kahless. Kahless taught that Klingons who died an honorable death in battle would join him in Sto-vo-kor, the Klingon afterlife, where they would have 72 virgins and... Wait a minute, let me just check my notes. Oh, okay, no, that's not it. They would fight an internal battle with Kahless against great enemies. On the other hand, Klingons who died a dishonorable death would descend to Grethor, which looks like this. I think the entrance speaks for itself, we don't need to see any more. Thus, all Klingons developed a determination in their heart to die an honorable death in battle and reach Sto-vo-kor, so they would never surrender, even if it meant sacrificing themselves.
Perhaps today is a good day to die. Prepare for running speed!
So put simply, Klingons were determined in battle. War ran through their veins and influenced every part of their life, and thus the Klingon Imperial Fleet was a formidable fighting force. Number 2. Starship Design. In the early days, Klingons were ahead of humans in terms of technological advancement. According to Quark, Klingons had developed warp drive in Earth year 1947. That's the year that humans had only just acquired alien technology, and would need another century or so and this drunkard from Montana to develop it into warp-capable craft, the Phoenix.
Mark!
By the time of the 22nd century and the NX-01 Enterprise, Klingons had ships that could do Warp 6, whereas the Enterprise could only do Warp 5. They also possessed superior firepower.
Grab hold of something. And another one.
Why are they attacking us?
They're not. If they wanted to destroy Enterprise, they would have done it.
In the 23rd century, a Klingon D7 class battlecruiser could take on a Constitution class starship, and if a fleet of them showed up, Starfleet would have no choice but to retreat. In the 24th century, despite having to lower their military budget to deal with the Praxis incident and also make peace with the Federation, the Klingons did remain a formidable fighting force who were able to dominate against other enemies such as the Cardassian Union, which they invaded in 2372.
Commence firing on the weapon platforms.
Number 3. Cloaking Devices. Klingons supposedly obtained cloaking technology from the Romulans, not strictly canon, but whatever, and cloaking devices quickly became standard on most Klingon vessels. This gave the Klingons an advantage over non-cloak capable species.
Check I've lost the bird of prey. She must have cloaked.
Race shields.
The Klingons even developed a method of firing weapons while cloaked, which was used by General Chang's ship before it was destroyed by the Enterprise. The Federation would later sign the Treaty of Algeron with the Romulan Star Empire, which forbade them from using ship-mounted cloaking technology, so the Klingons would retain this advantage into the 24th century.
What do you know about the Treaty of Algeron?
2311, it redefined the Romulan neutral zone.
It also outlawed the use of cloaking technology on Starfleet vessels.
Number 4. The ability to punch above their weight. The Klingon fleet relied heavily on the bird of prey, which were cheap to build and were mostly small models compared to the average Federation starship, but they were often able to punch above their weight, especially when dealing with Federation vessels that weren't 100% battle ready. In Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, a single bird of prey is able to recover from an attack by the Enterprise and fire on the ship, crippling vital systems, forcing the crew to abandon ship and self-destruct. In Star Trek Generations, a single bird of prey destroys the Enterprise D after getting inside info on their shield systems.
They have found a way to penetrate our shields!
Now that bird of prey was destroyed by the Enterprise just before she went down, but hey, remember what Kayla said, today is a good day to die. Number 5. Cavalry-style battle tactics. The Klingons often employed cavalry-style battle tactics where they would send ships in on raids behind enemy lines. The tactic is to first send a couple of craft to carry out an initial attack, then retreat. Once the enemy thinks the attack is over and brings out crews to repair the damage, the Klingons begin the real attack with a larger number of ships. General Martok used this tactic when attacking a Dominion base on Trelka 5, but the tactic dates back to the time of Kor, a Klingon warrior from the original series who used the tactic when attacking a Federation colony on Caleb 4. On a side note, this is what Klingons look like in the original series with a limited makeup budget. Look, that's Kor there. Now I know they did try to explain this lack of cranial ridges as the result of a vaccine for a virus in Enterprise.
My Targ won't even recognize me.
In the future, it may be possible to reverse the cosmetic effects.
I suppose this is what I deserve. Millions of my people will have to live with this disfigurement. It'll be passed on to our children.
But the real reason was just lack of makeup budget. Interestingly, Kor was actually played by the same actor, John Colicos, in both the original series and in Deep Space Nine when he was in his late 60s. He passed away when he was 71. Number 6. An Imperial Force. There's nothing quite like the glory of a massive empire subjugating other civilizations under one rule. The Klingons, yes. So the Klingon Imperial Fleet served the Klingon Empire, which for much of its history was an expansionist power who conquered and subjugated other species, using up their planet's resources. In the original series episode Errand of Mercy, our old friend Kor invades Organia and installs himself as military governor.
I am Kur, military governor of Organia. Who are you?
The Kryosians were another species that was subjugated to Klingon rule. They were one of those types of aliens whose looks were dictated by the lack of a makeup budget. Just paint some spots on them and away we go. Anyway, the fact that the Klingon Empire was willing to go and directly get involved, liberating other species from whatever regime they were subject to and making them citizens of the Klingon Empire just inspired greatness. The Federation, on the other hand, didn't inspire greatness in anyone.
I know. It's so bubbly and cloying and happy. Just like the Federation. But you know what's really frightening? If you drink enough of it, you begin to like it. It's insidious. Just like the Federation.
Number 7. Their bases were well protected. Now, in our 10 Flaws of Starfleet series, we often talked about how the Earth was left defenseless when attacked by Borg cubes. That wasn't so with the Klingons. They kept their bases well protected.
According to Starfleet intelligence, Chancellor Gowron has relocated Klingon military headquarters to Tiger Corps.
That will make our job more difficult. Tiger Corps is located in an asteroid field deep in Klingon space. It is probably the most heavily fortified installation in the Empire.
The tachyon detection grid would scan for cloaked ships trying to enter the base, and the 30 vessels in orbit would see off any intruders trying to attack. Klingons also installed orbital defense systems around planets that were under their control. Basically, you knew you were safe when you were being ruled by the Klingon Empire. Number 8. They did martial arts. Now, if you've seen Star Trek The Next Generation, you'll have seen Worf's Tai Chi. I mean, technically it's a Klingon martial art called Mokbara, but actually it's just Tai Chi with a few moves slightly changed. But anyway, Klingons were pretty good at martial arts. Their Rite of Ascension ceremony looked like something out of 36 Chambers of Shaolin.
I travel the river of blood.
Yeah, they were tough, and they had many stories of glorious battles, such as this one.
The Battle of Cloaking Devices is a legendary Klingon victory over the Romulans almost a century ago.
This was the battle that the Klingons won against the Romulans using melee weapons such as batliths. Look, this is a batlith. I don't know why they didn't just use disruptors. I mean, both species would have had advanced technology at that time. It was only 100 years before the DS9 era. But some things in Star Trek are just a mystery, like why Kirk fought Gorn in slow motion. But anyway, the Klingons were good at fighting, except when the plot of an episode required them to suck, basically anytime they fought against Starfleet. Number 9. Luck was on their side. The Klingons weren't that good at advancing technology, but they did sometimes accidentally or by fate stumble across fortune-changing advancements, like the time they developed this defense for a Breen energy weapon that disabled every single ship except for one at the Battle of Chintaka.
311 ships, Federation, Romulan, and Klingon, all lost power.
But one didn't. A bird of prey called the Katang.
Why? What was different about the Katang?
We're not really sure. The only thing we can figure is that just prior to the engagement, their chief engineer adjusted the tritium intermix to compensate for a containment problem in the warp core.
I've ordered every ship in the Klingon Fleet to adjust its reactor the same way.
Maybe it was the guiding hand of Kahless reaching out from Sto-vo-kor. Number 10. Robust interrogation techniques. Klingons were into robust interrogation techniques, like waterboarding.
Well, here we go. This guy's like a shadow. Came into the season, got his first finals last time out in Detroit. Now he's coming out here.
Nah, even more terrifying than waterboarding. I'll let Kor explain.
Would you like to try our little truth finder?
I don't understand it.
It's a mind sifter, or mind ripper, depending on how much force is used. We can record every thought, every bit of knowledge in a man's mind. Of course, when that much force is used, the mind is emptied. Permanently, I'm afraid. What's left is more vegetable than human.
Would you like to be on the receiving end of that? I certainly wouldn't. Only problem was it didn't work on Vulcans.
It should not be underestimated, Captain. It reaches directly into the mind. We Vulcans have certain disciplines which enable me to maintain a shield. Without those disciplines, there would be no protection.
Okay guys, so that is our 10 advantages of the Klingon Imperial Fleet. What do you think? Don't forget to vote in the poll. Number 5 is send them straight up to Sto-vo-kor. Number 1 is ride the Klingon barge of the dead and descend to Grethor, and anything in between. I'd love to hear your opinions. Okay guys, if you're new, please subscribe to Generation Films. We have several new videos out every week, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.